All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Complexity Casting HoN Tour coverage. Diamond lower bracket round of 4 losers semifinals, whatever you want to call them. That is what we have. Lions Esports going up against Complexity Gaming. Game number 2 in this best of 3 series. Lions finds themselves up 1-0 in this series. I know, I did not misspeak. Lions is up 1-0 in this series. You might look over at Complexity's roster and say, hey, that doesn't look quite right. And yeah, Haxorn is not with the team right now, unfortunately. They did have to make a little bit of last minute roster changes, but yeah, Hax is missing in action, so we will have Shams filling in, and you might say, well, Complexity's not practiced with this squad as much, but whatever the reason, Complexity is now down. They're 1 game away from dropping out of HoN Tour Diamond Cycle 1 with a 5th, 6th place finish. And that is not what Complexity, the team, wants. They want to go on. They want to fight TDM again in a rematch. They want to take it to the top and be number 1. So we'll see how they fight back in this game. Or we'll see if Lions is able to play it safe and solid, just like they did in the last one, with another great game and bring it back 2-0 and advance to play either QSQ or Fortune Bakery in the losers bracket finals number 1. Man, oh man, guys, I'm excited. I'm hoping that Complexity is able to pull this one out so we can at least go to a game 3. That would be fantastic. But let's get into the game at hand. Keeper of the Forest, Wild Soul, Fade, and Parasite are your blind bans here. Of course, Keeper of the Forest and Wild Soul being banned by Lions Esports. They do go with those heroes because of their extremely strong versatility, their ability to jungle, their ability to suicide, their ability to do whatever it takes, and of course suicide with favorable lane position, able to get the farm in very adverse laning conditions. On the other side, Fade and Parasite, 2 heroes that BKid does not like playing against. Thinks that they are 2 god tier type heroes that are able to get the farm, they're able to get the ganks, and they're able to be extremely annoying. So BKid blind bans him here. Into the lock phase we go. First lock coming out for Lions Esports is in fact Master of Arms, another dwarf, as we do have BKid locking Tempest and Ophelia, a couple of the jungle pushers, going to be making his way into the lock pool. Suicides come out for Hanskin as Plague and Pharaoh both come out. Lions Esports locking those. And the final one, Tundra, is going to be picked up into the lock pool here by Complexity. So we'll see if Moon Meander gets on that hero. He did, of course, play Silhouette in the last game and got his farm done. But Complexity just found themselves behind the entire time and not quite able to make it happen. So getting into the banning stage now. First bans out of Hanskin, Dark Lady, followed immediately by a Moon Queen ban from BKid, saying you guys are not getting that hero again. That was ridiculous amounts of farm. Nearly 700 GPM on Super KGE. Pebbles, Silhouette, Meraxis, and Draconis come out. So Silhouette and Draconis, strong farmers. So a lot of hard carries being banned here. Dark Lady, Moon Queen, Silhouette, and Draconis. The only hard carries that we really see too often that are left up on the board are, of course, Forsaken Archer and Magebane. I could be forgetting one, but Zephyr is up there as well. And I guess Madman's there, but we don't see him too often. We saw him last week. Tremble, we'll see if any of those heroes do end up getting picked up. And, of course, Pebbles Meraxis being banned by Hanskin. Well, got the Strength Initiators there, and Lion says you guys are not getting those. BKid, you're going to have to play something else. Magnus is still on the board. Well, not anymore, actually. What the hell? Sorry about that. As usual, my Google Chrome managed to unmute itself because Google Chrome's an amazing program, and it unmuted itself. So while I was playing that commercial, you guys don't care. Let's get back into this game. Second picks over here for Complexity. They do, in fact, grab BKid. He's going to pick up the Hag as well as Franzi on the Glacius. So very, very interesting. Of course, the first pick was the Dwarf Engineer. Going to choose to use that one. Maybe in combination with the Master of Arms. I know that Hanskin has played that quite a bit before, and ALG and Sealkit have both shown to have great engineer games. But, of course, a strong supporting hero, especially when paired with that Magnus in the middle lane. Going to be very nice. And Forsaken Archer being picked up to be played by Super KGE here. That will be very, very nice indeed. Gets the hard carry on. Now, Complexity will not be running a super, super hard carry. None of the agility type carries, at least. Wretched Hag and Torture both do have carry potential. But the way that it's played normally, you get a short lane solo or mid that Wretched Hag, get the farm on him, but really try to remain active, try to remain ganky throughout the middle game, and Torture is a great hero for doing that, able to provide those mid-game ganks, the damage necessary, and even gets a little bit of initiation if you pick up something like Portal Key and Sheepstick on it. First lock coming out for Lions Esports is going to be Tempest, so already their team is looking stupidly good for team fights. You land that Tempest ultimate, Engineer Keg Turret, Forsaken Archer Pin, plus Piercing Arrows, Magmus Lava Surge plus Eruption. That is more damage than I can think of ever living through, possibly. Like, there's no way to live through that, actually. 5 seconds left here, Complexity. What is their last pick going to be? It will be a Pharaoh. So, Ophelia, Pharaoh are the choices for Complexity coming out of the lock pool. Pick up the Jungler, the Ganker, the Pusher there in Ophelia, and Pharaoh. Going to be able to be used as a suicide mid or suicide bottom, most likely. As Complexity's lineup should be relatively easy to read. Glacius and Torture are going to be teaming up in whatever lane they're in, whether that is mid or the short lane top. Wretched Hag's going to be in the other lane, mid or short lane top, depending on which ones the Complexity squad wants to run. B-Kid going to be on the Pharaoh, playing Suicide perhaps. I think that B-Kid and Moonmander might swap up their heroes, but I'm not entirely sure. And then, of course, Ophelia going to be doing her jungle thing. Now, the last pick over here for Lions, they're going to be going with a Suicide, I would think. That's Forsaken Archer should be soloing short, Magmus Engineer, mid, Tempest in the jungle. I would think they'll pick up Plague Rider here. The problem with that is I'm not sure who's going to play that as... So that's probably what they're talking about right now. Yeah, the Plague Rider does come out, and I would expect that's going to be played by Krebson. Yeah, no. What the heck? LG normally plays the Tempest, and he's going to be playing the Plague Rider. He also normally plays the Plague Rider, but Krebson's going to play the Tempest now. Interesting. Lions changing it up a little bit there. I really have to wonder if they might have been outdrafted just a bit and had to go with something that they didn't really want. They, of course, used up about 80 seconds in picking their last lockpick, and they always kind of say about lockpick, you can really lose, but you can't win a lockpick. So, Interesting, Lions. Interesting. I, of course, could be wrong saying those people normally do play those heroes, but I'm pretty sure. Seal Kid and Magmus, or excuse me, Seal Kid and Engineer, as well as Hanskin on the Magmus. Speaking of Magmus, Hanskin playing them this time, I think. I believe that it was Krebson playing him last time. So swapping that up as well. Lions saying they weren't happy with the way that things went last game, that they didn't like winning, and they're going to go ahead and change things up. What the heck happened to if it ain't broke, don't fix it? But interesting. Bottom lane, we do have all 5 players for the Legion team. Tempest and Plague Rider kind of hanging out in the back. The Stunners, Engineer, and Magmus on the front lines, with Forsaken Archer following up immediately. 4 players of the Complexity team trying to roll through as well. They're going to make their way over toward the bottom rune and perhaps trying to get the rune ward up that way. And with Engineer already being out of position, he could very well find himself getting picked off as Glacius, Tortured make their way in. They're going to go ahead and use that Winged Courier to make sure that they get the scouting information that they need, however, and they will back off. Now, B-Kit is actually going to be suicide midding on the Pharaoh. It's going to be a long lane Glacius as well as a short lane Torturer. So I don't necessarily disagree with this one. Complexity showing that they know that the Forsaken Archer is going to be soloing bottom. Just kidding. It's now a Magmus solo bottom. Very odd. Mind games coming out of both teams, but sending the Forsaken Archer in the dual lane mid is going to secure that she will be able to get farm against Torture Glacius mid, but as soon as they realize that Torture Glacius is not there, they should buy like level 2 for Forsaken Archer with decent farm, and then Seal Kid should be rotating through the jungle to try to get toward that Magnus. The problem is that Ophelia is in the jungle, and if Engineer gets caught out of position, he might take a lot of damage, if not die. But I would expect the Engineer to be rotating toward that bottom lane relatively soon. Forsaken Archer, of course, once she has a tiny advantage here in the middle lane, should be able to hold her own just fine. Glacius and Magnus just kind of on the same side, or the opposite sides of the same wall, as Magnus is doing his best to get some creep kills, but the double deny pushback of the Hellborn team, they're pushing the wave back in their favor. And as soon as it's up to this point right here, there's so many entrances where Magnus can be ganked in this location, over here, that he's going to have to play way far back, and he shouldn't be able to get any more experience in this lane without putting himself at great risk. Great risk he's willing to put himself at as Glacius does come over. Seal Kid did a nice job of dropping the ward here, provide a little bit of vision in the short lane for Magnus. It's going to help out quite a bit to make sure that he does not get ganked by the offensive Ophelia, or by any kind of Glacius that is in fact going to be doing a little bit of roaming. Glacius is in fact the player that's going to be roaming here for the Lions team, as well as the Ophelia. They could be, excuse me, Glacius is going to be roaming for the Complexity team. Sorry about that. He picks up an Invis rune, and he's going to be making his way toward the middle lane, possibly to set up a kill onto the Forsaken Archer. Ophelia being spotted out there as the Vulture Lord's going to take some auto attacks, but he will be able to get on that there, even an uphill miss. Getting a little bit lucky there, Mr. Vulture Lord. B-Kid on the Pharaoh continues to try to spam out Tormented Souls here in the middle lane, as they do want to try to get as much farm as they can, but Glacius actually rotates toward the top, and there's the opener onto the Forsaken Arch, or excuse me, onto the Plague Rider. The Ice Imprisonment, the Haunt is being applied, and one more auto attack. Down she goes. Moonmeander gets Bloodlust on that Plague Rider. So great job there, the rotation all the way from the bottom lane. Franzi able to set that kill up, and a great job to him. Pharaoh continues to solo against the two players here from Lions. I'm really surprised that there are still two players here for Lions. The chain reaction does unfortunately miss there from Shams. This is on the European servers. I think someone just mentioned. Ophelia going to come in and try to pound in some auto attacks, but Shams does connect with that chain reaction. One more auto attack, and down he goes. The nuke from Chessie is actually all that it takes. I'm very surprised that the Lava Surge was not used from Magnus, because I believe that he had it the entire time, and that would have put enough distance at level 2 Lava Surge. That's what, 500 units? 400 units? 500 units. So I'm very surprised that he didn't use that to put some more distance between himself and the others. He might have thought that he was going to be able to get away from there fast enough without use of that spell, but not able to, and he gives up a kill. So 2-0 now into Complexity's lead, and I have to say I really do like Complexity's lanes. The short lane solo Ratchet Hag with the gank from Franzi should be able to do relatively well against this Plague Rider, who is kind of doing his thing, denying back with that Extinguish ability, but Hag, of course, is farming well, 12 and 4 as opposed to the 13 and 10 of the Plague Rider. Hag's going to do just fine in that lane. Hasted Pharaoh makes his way back toward middles. He's going to be able to use that haste to get a couple more CS. Might even use it to set up a creep kill, as Franzi's getting into a little bit of a fight with some Snotters there. Going to try to get the kill on that one. I hate Snotters. Like, I try not to tell you guys about what I hate too much, but I hate Snotters. They slow your attack speed by so much. Like, I don't understand how they can slow you by so much, and that's fair. I don't like it, man. It's the worst. Especially when you're a support and you already attack so slow. A pin comes out onto B-Kid there, the crippling volley, and Pharaoh's going to be stuck in position to take a couple of auto attacks. The Complexity team trying to get the roam on, as Glacius and Ophelia do make their way by one of their own wards, and now they're going to make their way toward this water site, which is going to be expiring here in about 10 seconds. Glacius attacks going literally over Magnus's head. Mag even uses the steam bath there, so going to put that on cooldown for about 30 seconds, and I think that they were aware of that as Lava Surge comes out now for Hanskin, as he's going to try to make his way out of there, but looks like he's going to be safe inside of the jungle for the time being. Cuts down a tree, and so they might try to make their way in there. The level 1 impalement is activated on Torture as they're trying to get the tower down as well. B-Kid taking some pressure here in the middle lane. I'm sure that the Forsaken Archer crippling volley was used at some point. Hanskin is trying to get out. Will he be able to this time use the Lava Surge? Learns from his mistakes, and he will be able to get out of there. Unfortunately for the Legion team, though, this tier 1 tower will be dropping, and down it goes. Complexity now in a 1,200 gold lead. Down by 600 experience, though. A lot of the Ophelia and Glacius kind of roaming together, combined with the heavy amount of denying that's being done by the Plague Rider in the top lane, contributing to that one. And of course, B-Kid having to be in town, having to run around and make sure that he doesn't get killed there in the middle lane. That's certainly not helping either. Super KGE on the Forsaken Archer is the second to highest farmer in the game. I was going to say top because I was pretty sure he was. But Shams at 371 GPM. 33 and 17 creep kills, so looking very strong for sure. Wretched Hag takes a Contagion nuke as well as an auto attack, but nothing more. Shams, yeah, good creep kills. He did, of course, get that tower as well. So that's very, very useful. Able to get the additional 400 and some odd gold, and puts him back into a favorable position for sure. Wretched Hag trying to get the last hits here off the tower. Kind of in a little bit of a vulnerable position, though. Pharaoh goes with the spot out with the Tormented Soul, and with one more player coming up the river here, Glacius might be what they needed. If the ultimate's activated by Plague Rider, the Plague is out, but a nice spread for now. The Wrath of the Pharaoh comes back in. Ophelia is going to drop to the auto attacks, but in some trouble. Down goes one player. Tempest ultimate is canceled by the Glacius imprisonment. Plague Rider and Tempest both go down to a fantastic bat blast there by Moon Meander. They traded Ophelia, picked up 2 kills though, and a great trade for Complexity, 1 for 2, increasing their gold lead by a little bit, up to 1,700 gold now, and even out that experience lead. Torturer walks right by a flying courier as Shams was trying to set up a gank in the middle lane. Would have liked to have had some TP support and follow up, but does back up, uses the Agonizing Bonds instead to actually get the last hit on some creeps. Interesting to note that he has maxed out those Agonizing Bonds first. 2 points in the chain reaction, that's pretty standard. We see that quite often from these Torturer players, to go 2 points in the chain reaction. But maxing out the Agonizing Bonds, that is of course a consistent amount of damage coming out. If we take a look here, 260 magic damage in quite a big radius, to be honest. So I don't necessarily disagree with that one, but always fun to watch how these players do skill up their heroes. Moon Meander looking strong up here. 301 gold per minute on the Wretched Hag, not suffering nearly as bad as LG did in the last game on his Wretched Hag. Moon finishes up Bottle, Ring of the Teacher. He's got the components for a Talisman of the Exile. Boots, Power Supply. He's looking good. So getting his farm on up there against the Plague Rider, who's not looking as good. He's at 238 gold per minute. He does have Steam Boots as well as Ring of the Teacher finished up, so that's nice for him. Drops a Ward of Sight well within the vision of Franzi's Ward of Sight, though. Would expect Franzi to be making his way over and drop a counter ward with that very quickly here. The roaming coming out of Complexity has been very strong so far, making sure to set up as many kills as they can while they do have the early game advantage. Of course, with heroes like Pharaoh, Torture, Glacius, Wretched Hag, all heroes that do quite well here in the early game. Even the Ophelia, I think I neglected to mention her, but all the heroes for the Complexity team do very well in the early game. And so it's no surprise that they're up in gold. Down in experience, though, still. They're trying to roam around and set up the kills, but Lions, as they showed in the last game, they're a team very, very good at actually making sure they do not get killed. They set up defensive wards. They make sure that wherever they're farming, they're safe. But we do have a pause coming out. But looks like it was just a bit of a fake pause, as it's unpaused immediately. HoN's getting on the Magnus. He was doing his suicide short thing against the pseudo tri-lane of Complexity. He's at 170 gold per minute, and I really think this was the best decision that Complexity could have made, making sure to shut down that Magnus. And I really don't agree with the decision here from Lions, is actually they're going to try to set up something on the Magnus, a quick steam bath, and walks away using those red boots. Glacius does have red boots as well, in addition to a power supply, so able to close the distance, but not quite get the Ice Imprisonment off there, which is level 1, choosing to go the max out Tundra Blast with 1 point in Aura build instead of maxing out Ice Imprisonment. Shams continues to farm very well, still the top farmer in the game at 345 GPM. Pharaoh's in some trouble in the middle lane, though, as the pin comes out, as well as the piercing shards, the keg, and the turret being used there as well. So a great setup, I would assume. They were able to get the kill, though, and that looked very strong. Moonmander man's up here. The Bat Blast being used. They're going to turn it around onto him, though. The Ophelia Heal comes out, and he should be able to get on out of there. So great job from Chessie utilizing that Ophelia Heal, but a nice return from Magnus as well, trying to set up the counter gank, which would have worked if Ophelia had not gotten that heal off in time, but great reflexes from Chessie. Magnus, of course, in this top lane, trying to stop the push from coming out, but Ophelia putting it in heavy with the Catman champion and Minotaur. She's level 6, and with the minions and the Ballista at the back of this one, this tower will drop. It's now a matter of if it will be denied or not. Steam Bath is used there from Magnus. Says ports are going to come in. Ophelia going to try to get on out of there. Magnus goes in. Oh, Hag could have probably gotten the kill there. She still probably will. One more auto attack, one more auto attack, one more auto attack. The Sonar Scream is all that it takes. Big deep dive coming in over here. Torture manning up. The Impale is activated. The ultimate comes out from Tempest. They're going to try to turn it around, and Glacius is going to die as well. A huge turnaround there for Lions. A gigantic elemental void from the Tempest, and he's able to put it back to Complexity, taking the 1800 experience lead. Now Lions with a great turnaround kill. But B-Kid with the snipe onto Tempest. A fantastic job there. Complexity saying, well, you might have killed 2 of ours, but we're at least going to get that damn Tempest. And gets the Tormented Soul snipe. Guys, this is the hype that I've been looking for. None of that passive crap that we were dealing with last game. Who cares about the strategy? I want to see some action. I want to see some kills. And so we have 11 kills going into 12 minutes here. Both of these teams roaming, ganking, counter-initiating, get the energy up in this game. I like it quite a bit. Wretched Hag, double damage. She's going to blink in. The haunt is applied. A nice keg going to be returning, though. The crippling volley comes in, as well as the energy field being applied, and Hag is going to go down. Moonmeander with the overextension there. A nice return, though, as Super KGE is now a serial killer, extending his farm up to 400 gold per minute. Buys a Firebrand now. So, guys, looking great for Lions. They are only 900 gold behind now, but extending that experience lead, which is the more important of the two here in the early game. And Complexity's been focusing a lot. The only reason they have this gold lead at this point is because of the 3 towers that they've managed to push down. I say 3 because, well, the middle tower goes down there for Complexity. Now, this is going to be nice for them as well. With 3 towers down, the ability of the Legion team to teleport out onto the map and to be involved in some of these team fights is significantly less. The map control afforded to them is significantly less. So that's what the Complexity team's looking for. They want the gold advantage. They also want to make sure that they have the map control, and that's what they've gotten. Moonmeander forces LG out of the lane up here in top, as that Wretched Hag level 10 with quite a few items, finishing up that Grave Locket as well as her Steam Boots and the Apprentice Robe, even though he did throw away a kill right there and his Ultimate Warrior Streak. Moon is still farming very well, 343 gold per minute, of course. He is the top farmer on his team, followed very, very closely by Shams. On the Torturer, who is currently working on Kongor, we do have level 1 Impalement getting to work, as he's maxed out Chain Reaction, so this is very odd. Going a strange build there, maxing out Agonizing Bonds with 1 point in Impalement, and then choosing to go 2 points in Chain Reaction, then maxing out Chain Reaction after Agonizing Bonds. But Cham's happy with that build. Why not? The ultimate comes out from Ophelia as she tries to heal up her creeps, and I don't think that that was revealed around the map. If it was, then they might know that Kongor is going on, but a great job of getting any counter wards down that they might have needed to, and take the Kongor kill. Token will go to Shams here. Torture picks that one up. It could have gone to Moonmeander, but he was not there. I think I would have actually preferred to see it go to Moonmeander. Hag with her blink does have a much greater chance in the middle of those team fights. If she gets picked off or killed somewhere with the Flash of Darkness, she should be able to get out of there a lot easier than the Torturer. But Shams, of course, with his Tablet of Command, well, that's a pretty decent escape mechanism as well. B-Kid doing the suicide thing mid. Already finished up a Helm of the Black Legion for quite some time now, but doing a great job there. 267 gold per minute, involved in 2 hero kills that he's picked up the kill for, and 2 hero kills that he's gotten the assist, making sure to minimize his deaths as well. And if we take a look here, even getting 42 CS. So nice job to B-Kid. Complexity going in for the counter tower trade down here, as the defensive tower is going to be taking a lot of fire. Ophelia leads the charge. She's a lot more farmed than she was last time. 326 gold per minute. Complexity extending their tower lead, and this is what they like to do. They like to take it really, really aggressive right away. And Ophelia brings in the Catman army, drops the stomps there. I wish I knew what it was called. It's like earth-shattering stomp or something. Oh, the engineer ultimate comes out right there, and Torture goes down. The token of life being expended immediately, as Shams had a very bad TP in there. I am very surprised that he TP'd 1 to the front of that, and 2 did not cancel that. But a nice use of the crippling volley, the engineer ultimate, and of course the lava surge from Magnus, and well, there goes the token of life. The only thing remaining of that Kongor kill is the gold and experience that he did give the team. Speaking of experience, Complexity brings it back to even now, as the experience lead is now negligible. So a great job with that. And Ophelia was able to do about 70% of the tower's life in that bottom lane. So a great job. She didn't need to be there to defend the top, and as a result was able to put quite a bit of damage into that tower, leaving it very vulnerable for any further follow-up push at a later time. Complexity will start to play a little bit more passive now that they have lost that token of life. The Hellflower is being worked on by Wretched Hag as she picks up her first Arcana. Now about 2,500 gold from finishing off that item. Shams picks up a Ogre Axe, a Mighty Blade, so he's going to be working on a Shrunken Head. Of course, a very nice item to have for a Torture in the middle of those team fights, which is where he will be most of the time. The magic damage coming out of the other team, the Plague bouncing around, and the piercing shards, or the piercing arrows, as well as the crippling volley and the Magnus Lava Surge and Eruption, all that stuff, going to be nullified, and of course able to not be stunned, so he's able to channel everything, get the maximum amount of damage off in the middle of those team fights before he inevitably dies. Because a lot of times Torture is about manning up and doing as much damage as you can before dying. I remember watching Haxerin play Torture one time in this location, and he manned up. Actually, Magnus tries to go in onto Torture there, but yeah, Haxerin, he was manning up. He manned up against 3 people at the end of a team fight, came up from the Token of Life and manned up and killed all 3 of them. Engineer in a little bit of trouble there. No. Really unfortunate that the Wrath of the Pharaoh didn't go off from B-Kid. That would have been the only thing that I think would have been in time to interrupt that port. But a great job, of course, from Seal Kid to get out of there. Shout out to Seal Kid. Make sure to follow him on Twitter. I don't remember what his Twitter is, but something about Seal Kid. You can search that. I shout that out, of course, because Lions asked me one day when I was casting their match, they're like, Beef, are we your favorite team other than Complexity? And I'm like, yeah, you are my favorite team other than Complexity. And they were like, why? And I'm like, because Seal Kid followed me on Twitter. So now I got to shout out to Seal Kid's Twitter. Chassis working on that barrier idol. He does have the Shaman's Headdress. Going to be working on the Refreshing Ornament relatively soon. Finds himself about 1,300 gold off of finishing up that item. Glacius picks up a Bracer to make himself just a slight bit more tanky. And looks like Pharaoh happy to stay on those red boots for now as he picks up a Chainmail. A couple of things that could be. He could be working on Plated Greaves, which there's a decent amount of physical damage coming out from the Legion team. Wouldn't be surprised to see B-Kid finish those up. But he could also, of course, be working on a Blade Mail or he could be working on a Soul's Bulwark. I think the Soul's Bulwark might be the Blade Mail might be the best of those options in this game because of the amount of damage that's coming out in terms of burst. And of course, being in the middle of those team fights, Pharaoh would like to be returning damage as he's taking it, forcing players essentially to attack him while inside of that mummy wall, and then activating that Blade Mail. Very, very useful item to have. Geometer's Bane is finished up over here for the Lions team. Forsaken Archer going to be able to farm quite a bit faster with that Geometer's Bane completed. And of course, able to cleanse things like Thunderblast, Ice Imprisonment, the Haunt. I believe that's it. The Slow from Ophelia, able to cleanse all those just by the activation of that Geometer's Bane. I gotta learn those names on Ophelia. Nature's Wrath is the slow in damage, and then Ophelia's Judgment. I knew that one. That's going to be the nuke and the teleport out. So, gotta work on that. I'm trying to learn all these skills, but I thought about it the other day. There's probably close to 600 or 700 some odd skills in Heroes of Newerth now that we're up to like 115 heroes or some nonsense. And all the skills that are associated with creeps and with items and with secondary skills and all that kind of noise. But there's a lot of them. I gotta bust out my books and get to studying. I thought I was done with school for right now. So no, not quite. Magnus might be in a little bit of trouble. He does use his portal key, and he's going to be trying to get on out of there. As Shams is trying to chase him down, drops the chain reaction as well as the impale, but not quite able to scout out that Magnus. Complexity looking strong in this game, not down like they were in the previous game, and there have been a lot of kills here, but not quite enough. Actually, might be one more as Beacon gets caught out of position. The Lava Surge as well as the Eruption going to be coming out of the Magnus, but Pharaoh is so tanky. The Tempest Elemental Void comes in, bringing in Glacius as well, and with the Ophelia heal going off, Pharaoh should die, and they're going to turn their attention toward Glacius. Will the Glacial Blast be applied? There they are, and down goes Franzi. So Lions saying, okay, well, you say Complexity's not down, they're not behind it all in this game. Well, they get a couple of kills there, and Lions is going to be very close to taking the experience lead once again and neutralizing that gold advantage just a little bit, down to 4,500 gold at this point. Wretched Hag blinking around. She has finished up her Hellflower, so look for Moon to try to lock someone down like that Magnus or that Forsaken Archer Tempest, somebody like that. Hellflower, of course, will prevent the Geometer's Bane from coming out during those team fights. So if she's able to get that onto the Forsaken Archer before the Geometer's Bane, Shrunken Head combination can be applied, which I assume will be what Forsaken Archer will go for next. If she can get the Hellflower on, though, Forsaken Archer could be able to die very, very quick. Super KGE continues to farm well, tied with Moon Meander for the top farm in the game at about 415 gold per minute both. Now the difference here is that Shams on the Torture is at 378 gold per minute, whereas the next closest is Tempest, immediately followed by Magnus over there for the Lions team. So the supporting cast on the Complexity squad doing a little bit better than that of the Lions team. Moon continues to just try to get his farm on, though, and with 1,200 gold saved up, I would not be surprised to see him working on a Shrunken Head of his own here very quickly as he tries to go in for some creeps. But unfortunately, those creeps weren't spawned, Moon. Yeah, Shrunken Head, we'll see if he picks up the Mighty Blade at some point here, but I think that would be a fantastic addition to this Wretched Hag's inventory. Able to stay alive through all that magic damage, and of course make sure that she's not stunned down so that she can use that blink to gain proper positioning in team fights would be a nice item to have. Plague Rider picks up a Tablet of Command now, so he's going to be able to get that additional mobility once again and push people out of the Pharaoh Ultimate. Tablet of Command, of course, is an item that I would expect to see coming out in droves against any Pharaoh team. Beacon still hasn't done anything with that chainmail. I'm interested to see what he will be doing with it, but unfortunately, because of that death, he did in fact fall behind, but he does finish up the barbed armor now. So that will be the item that he's going to choose for. Still not finishing up the red boots, but of course with the level 11, level 2 Wrath of the Pharaoh comes immediately, and a great amount of range on that. The range is actually 2,500. Wow. I clicked the spell right there as the caster, and I was like, oh no, I hope I didn't waste it, but I forgot I wasn't a player for a second. Oh, sometimes my brain. Sometimes my brain. Wretched Hag cleans up a few triple stacked ancients there. Activates the regeneration rune. He's going to make her way toward Kongor now. Applies the haunt as well as the Hellflower. And the big guy is going to be taking some damage. We did, of course, have that Nature's Wrath. Man, I had that in my head and I was like, that doesn't sound right. Nature's Wrath being applied to Kongor to increase the amount of damage that he's taken, similar to that Hellflower. But the big guy's dropping pretty damned fast. The ward here from Sealed Kid, of course, does not see it. I might have seen somebody walking in via this direction, but not quite able to. And Kongor will go down once again. I would expect Wretched Hag, yeah, she does pick up the token this time, as Moon is certainly much larger. Moon will TP into the top lane now, where Magnus was utilizing that portal key to get a little bit of farm on. He's at 1,420 gold per minute. Whoa, 1,420 gold per minute. This isn't mid-wars. No, he's at 1,420 gold. So we'll see what he chooses to go for. Maybe something like a mana ring to keep that mana supply very high, but I would expect instead probably a Shrunken Head. Maybe start working on a Hellflower. Brings himself out. A Homecoming Stone, as that's the item of choice for now. Ophelia, of course, finishes up her Barrier Idol. That's going to be very useful for all the magic damage that's coming out in the middle of the team fights. The Hellborn team, of course, very, very magic heavy. Glacius gets a bottled up haste. We'll see if Franzi uses that or if he's going to donate that to someone else. As both of these teams consent to just farm for the time being. Torture does finish up his Shrunken Head. So I feel like with the Shrunken Head finished, once Hag finishes up her Shrunken Head, which is only 200 gold off, Complexity is going to look to aggressively push down the last of the 3 outer remaining towers. Last 2, actually, as bottom has been killed. And the base tower took quite a bit of damage as well, if you recall. The Ophelia using her triple Catman, while the rest of the team was fighting up here in the top lane. Couple players going to be meeting over here in the top lane, as Forsaken Archer has finished up her Shrunken Head as well. Hag picks up hers, right-clicking that. Hag going to make her way out. Tempest comes in. The Shrunken Head being activated, though, and Torture should be able to get out of there. Has to use the 10-second Shrunken Head, but, well, great reflexes to use that before the Lava Surge came in. If he had used it after the Lava Surge, very well could be looking at a different Magnus. One that would be 1 kill richer and an even hero kill score, as he is at 1, 2, and 1. For all the action that was going on 15 minutes ago, where did it all go? There have been a couple kills. This engagement that happened right here, there was 2 kills in favor of the Lions team, but they're playing so passive. So passive. I need a co-caster so we can talk about stuff. I gotta work on that, guys. I gotta work on getting that co-caster, but that's a discussion for another time and another place. Ophelia wants to make her way toward this middle lane with the double Minotaur Skeleton Kings. Of course, Hag has finished up that Shrunken Head, and so Complexity should be happy to actually push everything down now. I think they're probably waiting for Shams to regen up a little bit. Wait for that Shrunken Head to come off of cooldown before they start aggressively pushing once again. And that makes sense. You need to have your Torture with full mana. Of course, his spells are very, very mana intensive here. All of them costing in that 140 to 160 mana range. And of course, 110... how much mana does it drain per second? Is it 110 mana per second on that Torment? It's a lot. It's a lot of mana per second on his ultimate. So you want Torture to have his maximum mana pool relatively high, and he does go with a Blessed Orb now. So gains the additional stats from that. Going to be working on the Sheep Stick at some point. Will be very, very nice. Sheep Stick able to lock down that Forsaken Archer after they get her into that Hellflower, prevent any items from coming out. Middle defensive tower drops very quickly as the Complexity team finally does turn their attention to that. Wretched Hag does have 2 minutes left on the Token of Life as Glacius TP's backward to get the deny on the top tower. That one was pushed out by Magnus as well as some creeps. They get the deny and 8,000 gold lead, 5,000 experience lead now in favor of Complexity. So they're looking strong. They're going to keep on farming. I would expect that they'll want to take down this next outer tower while they still have the Token of Life in the next 2.5 minutes. But it looks like for the time being, they're content to just back up. They're going to stack the Ancients once more. Try to defend this bottom tower, actually. Yeah, the Complexity team is rotating, and back the Legion team falls. The triple stack goes off, and 4 or 5 of these players will team up to take the triple stack down. Legion team, every time that they group up to try to get something done and they have to back off, they're falling further and further behind. The Wretched Hag does have that token for another minute 45, and so I'd expect Complexity to make a beeline for this top tower, take that one down, wait 3 minutes, get Kongor again, then go up the bottom lane here and take down the defensive tower and the ranks if possible. So we'll see if that is what they choose to do. I'm not the strategy coach for Complexity, though. Shout out to Insomnia of QSQ. I found out recently that he is actually the coach of that team. He's like a 6th player, studies all their games and reads everything about the other teams and all that nonsense. So make sure to get all the scoop on everybody else. Pretty cool position. Pretty nice position. I think other teams would probably be happy to have a person in that role as well. Hag activates that regen rune after taking quite a bit of damage, and she'll go in to actually drop some more. Actually, the Barrier Idol being activated, so I'm always confused about the Barrier Idols being activated because it's going to fall off in 1 second. Barrier Idol's gone. Oh, Magnus comes in with a Lava Surge onto 2 players. He's going to back on out immediately, though. The defensive tower will fall, and Wretched Hag has 37 seconds on this token, so they should be going balls to the wall. A nice pin right there. In comes a TP. Wretched Hag activates the Shrunken Head, takes down Forsaken Archer immediately. The Hellflower being activated. Down goes another player. It was, in fact, Engineer in the middle of that as Torture does a ton of damage. Magnus is going to take a fall now as Moon Meander mans up onto him. The Forsaken Archer does buyback. She's going to come in, misses the crippling volley for the first time, activating that split shot and trying to get the damage done. She will activate the Token of Life here on Wretched Hag, but down goes the tower as well. The racks actually are being exposed. The Glacial Blast onto Moon Meander, and he might be in a little bit of trouble. One more is going to be coming out. The piercing arrows do miss, though, and Plague Rider does fall in the midst of that as well. A nice Lava Surge onto Torture as well as Glacius, but it looks like the Legion team simply doesn't have the follow-up that they need. They lose the melee racks, and they're not able to kill a single member of Complexity in return. So a great job there from Complexity, making use of that Token of Life. Now about 2.5 minutes until the next Kongor kill will be available. But Wretched Hag, I mean, you saw how much damage that did. Able to get in there, applies the Hellflower to the Forsaken Archer before she's able to get the Geometer's Bane or the Shrunken Head off, and very, very quickly dropped her. The level 3 Bat Blast, the Sonar Screams, and a couple of auto attacks, and down she goes. Only 1,600 life, so died very, very quickly, of course, and doesn't even have something like magic armor, opting to keep that Ring of the Teacher in her inventory instead. Not picking up the Mystic Vestments against this team. I don't necessarily disagree, or I don't necessarily agree with that decision. Engineer kind of roaming through the jungle, hoping to get something done, find some wards, drop some wards, do something. But Seal Kid is in a state of poverty at this point. 118 gold per minute, 0, 1, and 3. We saw, I couldn't even tell who had died in the middle of this team fight right here because something happened and he just died, just dropped. But oh, Wretched Hag manning up onto Forsaken Archer once again as both of them are going to activate their Shrunken Heads. Hag will have to blink on out though, and Forsaken Archer immediately teleports back home once again. So Moon Meander trying to man up, forces the Forsaken Archer out of the lane though, and that's not a bad thing to have done. FA Illusion's going to be making their way into the jungle now. Complexity continues to expand their lead up to 15,000 gold and 12,000 experience, saying, okay, game one, that was crap. We're not doing that again. We are not doing that again. And so they are looking very strong in this game. Kongor will be back up in about another minute. Complexity will take their third Kongor, as well as the Token of Life and the bananas. And they're going to go make a beeline for this bottom lane, force down the racks, and hopefully sail their way into a game 3, because I like Lions, but I want a game 3. I don't want Complexity to go out 0-2 here. I just want to cast more games. Now, the one thing that I'm worried about is that I want the game to finish up before the next game is scheduled to start. I want to have just a tiny bit of break before casting for 7 straight hours with a solo caster is kind of rough. I need to be able to get some tea, something like that. A double damage is here as the Skeleton King is going to start working on it, but Wretched Hag comes in. Wretched Hag has a Harkins Blade. I saw the Acolyte staff that was picked up by Wretched Hag. I assumed it was going to be for a sheep stick like all normal people get, but Moon Meander goes with the Harkins Blade. Man, oh man, is that something different. Ophelia going to utilize her creeps to actually kill some Tempest Elementals there. Wow, I don't know the last time that I saw a Harkins Blade. I really want to say the last time I saw a Harkins was when I saw a competitive Warbeast game like a year and a half ago, and you went Harkins to counter like the 4 Void Talismans. And also, Harkins gives melee heroes a little bit of ranged attack, just so you know. It's like 200 range, 150 range, something like that. So it's kind of interesting to see a Warbeast right here, and he's attacking somebody over here. But it's very, very cool, and I'm excited to see that item. Magnus goes in for a Lava Surge there, grabs one. The Hag is in the background, activates the Shrunken Head. The eruption is canceled by Magnus. A nice piercing shard's going to be going down. Magnus is going to fall, though. Hag is still trying to get in there and do some damage. With that double damage, down goes Plague Rider. She's going to turn her attention toward Forsaken Archer next, but FA will be able to get out of there. Krebson does buy back on that Tempest. I believe that he died. Yeah, he did die in the middle of that. So 4 players falling for the Legion team in that team fight. A great showing from Complexity Gaming. And they were able to take that one handily, force the buyback onto the Tempest to defend the base. The rest of them will be up in 30 seconds, but this is a free Kongor now for Complexity. Able to secure this one, grab the Token of Life onto Moon Meander, grab the bananas onto Shams. And they're going to make their way now toward the bottom lane, activate all their healing mechanisms to try to get people maxed out once again. Actually, Torture is going to nuke down this triple stacked Ancients. He's going to make his way toward the base to regen, and then they're going to push out. I'd be interesting to see if he will upgrade his boots, but I don't think he has enough money to change those out into post haste. If he broke down the boots, sold them, and then vendored the power supply, he would. But oh, he's actually going to go up and kill the top lane. Then he's going to go home, get the post haste, and then make his way toward the bottom lane. That's what I expect. That's my beef expectation. So we'll see. Beef expectation. Wretched Hag, of course, we saw her in the middle of that team fight doing preposterous amounts of damage. Moon at 19% of the damage done in this game, which is not as high as I was expecting it, to be honest. LG and Super KGE tied at 16% for number 2. And then, of course, BKid actually bringing up number 4 here. Franzi gets caught out of position. He's going to lose that bound eye. Wretched Hag activates the Shrunken Head. She's going to man up the Hellflower onto Tempest, and down goes Tempest. Hasted Hag will be able to back on out of there, and that's a trade that they're willing to make any day. Actually, more coming in. Magnus is going to fall as Torture activates his Shrunken Head. He's in the middle of things. Everything is going off right there. The energy field is dropped, but down goes Forsaken Archer. She's not able to get out of there, and down goes LG on the Wretched Hag. A huge team fight, getting the flank on them. Complexity Gaming looking fantastic. He's going to make his way toward this Tempest, who is now bought back. Going to try to find him. He's going to activate that Hellflower, and Wretched Hag might be in a little bit of trouble. He wants to make sure that he doesn't die. He's trying to get toward this Tempest. Oh, the Bat Blast comes out and 2 auto attacks. Down he goes. A genocide for Complexity Gaming. GG well plays are coming out, and Complexity evens the series up. Guys, let's go ahead and update that scoreboard right away because I'm excited. You should be excited. 1-1, baby. We're going to Game 3 here in the HoN Tour Diamond Losers Bracket Finals. Figure out who's going to go on and take on QSQ or Fortune Bakery in the Losers Bracket Finals. Oh man, Game 3 coming up next, guys. This is Complexity Casting. I'll be casting host Beef. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 3. We'll see you then.